What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are finally getting back to working on the old Chevy here. So to those who might be new to the channel, this truck here, it is a 1992 C1500. I picked this thing up sometime, I want to say the middle of last summer. I paid a couple grand for it. It's got a 5.7 350 in it, and at the time when I bought it, it had a 700 R4. Hell, I can't remember now. I don't know. It's that automatic transmission that never seems to shift right. One of the first videos, actually the only video I ever did on this truck, it was I ripped that automatic out and I swapped in a 5-speed manual transmission. If you haven't seen it, go back, check it out. Thought it was a pretty fun video. When I first released that video, it kind of did all right. I mean, for the size of the channel, I wasn't upset about it. But here in the last couple months, I've noticed it's starting to climb in popularity. And I've been getting a lot of comments asking some questions and stuff. So I figured it was time to do a follow-up. And at the same time as doing that, I figured we'd go ahead and do a low buck transformation on this thing. Since I brought this thing home last year, I've literally done nothing to it besides that transmission. I changed the oil and I had to replace an exhaust manifold, but I've done nothing to it. As far as its appearance goes, it's as ugly as it was when I brought it home. So not only am I going to be doing some stuff, some upgrades to this that I want to do, I wanted to do some stuff that any of you guys watching can do at home yourself. So we're going to be doing stuff like replacing the old mirrors, faded headlights, the old busted faded taillights. I've also got some pre-cut window tint we're going to be putting in. Now, as well as doing the cheaper bolt-on stuff, there is a couple of repairs I have to make. The back window on this is about to fall out of it. It has got the 3-piece, well, I guess you'd call it a 4-piece slider. And the glue, the urethane on the bottom is starting to fail. And every time I shut the door, it blows out about an inch. So I've also got a new used 1-piece back glass I will be putting in it as well. Hopefully by the end of this video, this old grandpa truck is going to be spruced up a little bit, make it more of a respectable street truck, and hopefully you guys like it. So let's get started. I figured we'd go ahead and get the most tedious project out of the way first. That's going to be replacing this back glass. I picked this one up at my local junkyard for like 80 bucks. Unfortunately, the way Chevrolet did this, they actually glued these back windows in. Well, we have got to go through and get all this old stuff off. You guys see that there. So I'm not going to punish you and make you watch me do this entire thing, but I'm going to get started on this and I will bring you back when we're ready for the next step. Well, that took about 30 minutes of going out with the old razor blade. I've got it pretty clean. Assuming you want it as clean as possible for that urethane to stick to, but I'm going to go through and actually clean it now with some glass cleaner. And not only am I going to clean around where we're going to be gluing this window in, I want to actually clean this whole thing real good since we're going to be sticking some window tint on it. So if you guys ever go to tint your own windows, the best advice I can give you is don't do it on a windy day. And make sure you clean your glass as good as possible. So make sure you use some good glass cleaner. This sprayway stuff here has got no ammonia in it. And I believe it's actually got a pretty high alcohol percentage to it. So it's really good at removing, you know, some oils and stuff like that. I also had to break out the Gooby Gone to get some tape residue off. And if your window is really dirty, take a razor blade like I did here, and you'll just go over the whole thing. And you'd be surprised at how much crap you can actually get off just by doing this right here. Luckily, this window was never tinted, so we don't have to worry about no old window tint residue, because that is about the worst to deal with. In this truck's previous life that this window came out of, looks like they got a little happy with the old spray paint job. And unfortunately, they have got overspray all over this thing. Well, guys, it ain't perfect, but I'm pretty happy with how this has turned out. So let's go ahead and get that old back window out, and I'm sure we're going to do some prep work on the cab of the truck itself, getting the old urethane off it, and getting it cleaned up and ready to go. So let's get into it. Well, guys, I'm ready to go ahead and get this back window out. I wanted to go over a couple different options if you guys go to do this yourself. And I'm going to be honest with you, I underestimated how strong this urethane actually is. In my mind, I'm thinking, well, the bottom's already loose. If you guys can see that moving or not. I'm thinking it's probably just going to push out. No. It may be bad down here, but this urethane on everywhere else is still very stuck. So I'm thinking some fish line maybe. No, that didn't cut it. So I made a trip to Harbor Freight. I picked up a couple different tools. First one I'm going to show you guys is this one here. This is called their windshield removal tool. It's actually a pretty nice piece. I think it was like $16 or $17. In the case of this, it's not really working for me, and you'll be able to see more when I get this back window out. There's actually a 1/4 inch recess behind this thick strip here on the outside of this on the outside of this glass, and because of that, there's not enough depth to get this cutter in there to do it. So option B is just your standard run-of-the-mill T-handle with some piano wire. And I've done about 6 inches with it so far, and it's actually working pretty good. So this is probably going to take a while. I'm just going to keep chipping away at this, and I will bring you guys back when the window's out. Guys, I ain't going to lie to you. This is an absolute pain in the butt. I mean, this has turned into about a 4 beer operation, and I went into it thinking it would be about 1 beer. Hindsight's 20/20. I called a local glass company to see what they'd charge me to put a brand new back glass in it. And if I remember right, they quoted me $250, and that's coming to me, taking the old one out, cleaning up the area, and sticking a new one on. And as of right now, I've got 80 in the back glass, 25 in the urethane, and I have got about $50 worth of tools I've bought. So I'm sitting right around $150, $160, and it's taken me several hours to get to this point. So I'm all about doing stuff yourself. I always try to encourage you guys to give something to try. My opinion, if you've got a GMT 400 and you want to change the back glass, bite the bullet and pay someone to do it, because this is just a nightmare. So I'm kind of past the point of trying to keep this thing in good shape. I'm going to get pretty aggressive with it here. And if it breaks, it breaks. At this point, I don't care. I need to get this back glass put in it, because tomorrow I'm going to pick up another project that will be on the channel. So I need to get the truck back together tonight and for tomorrow. So here we go. Don't break. Damn it. That's what I was trying to avoid. Okay, now that that nightmare is over with, we can move on to something I have done before, and that is tinting windows. So this ain't really going to be a how-to. I'm just going to kind of go over how I do it. If you have never tried tinting windows before, like I said, I recommend everybody try something at least once. It is a pain in the butt. It's extremely frustrating. Now, luckily, as technology has gotten better, there have been better options for people like me who can't really tint windows that good. There's a seller on eBay, I'll link him in the description if I remember. They actually sell pre-cut, and I'm sure they're not the only ones. A lot of window tinting places that actually tint windows, they've gone to doing that as well, where if you take your car in, they'll look the file up and they'll actually laser cut all the pre-cut panels and stick them on your glass. The most you're going to spend on some pre-cuts is about $25 to $35. So as long as you've got the patience and the time to do it, and if you're willing to take a risk, you can save yourself a pretty good chunk of money. Normally the way they do it, as you guys can see here, they just kind of roll everything up into one. But let me get the one separated for the back glass here. You're going to want to have a nice, clean, flat surface somewhere to lay these out on. So the one on bottom is the back glass. These are my side windows. Okay, so I don't know how well it's going to pick up on camera, but they actually go through, they give you the full sheet, you know what I mean, but they laser cut it. And 9 times out of 10, it's usually cut all the way through. Sometimes you'll find a corner that's kind of sticky, but it's essentially just a matter of peeling it off, keeping it wet the whole time and sticking it. So mentioning that, you're going to want to use some baby soap and some water. I have got a window tinting kit. My normal spray bottle has been repurposed for other things, so I had to break out this Dawn sprayer. You guys saw I already cleaned this window real good, so I'm not going to scrub it or nothing. But that kit on Amazon, it comes with a couple different squeegees, razor blade with stainless steel knives. You want to use those because it doesn't etch the glass if you're cutting on it. And something I've noticed tinting windows, I don't care how careful you are and how much prep work you do, there's a very good possibility you're still going to screw something up. So you have got to go into it with an open mind, knowing that it's not going to be perfect. Now, if I've got a brand new truck, I'll gladly pay a company, $300 or $400 to tint it because I'm looking for perfection. But if you got an old vehicle like this old Chevy here, hell, spend the $30, try your hand at it, and you might surprise yourself. All right, so this side's peeling up, which means the glue is facing down, which is what we want. So I'm just going to go through and start peeling this. And as I'm peeling it, I'm going to keep spraying it. And what this will do is keep it from sticking to itself, and it also keeps the static electricity from building up. I will say it's a lot easier when the windows are out of the vehicle. I've done several in the vehicle and it can be tricky. Normally doing these back windows like this, I try to get a buddy to come help me. That way he can kind of hold on to one side while I hold on to the other. All right. Okay, get the edges centered up. You going to bed? Yeah. Did you come out here to tell me good night? Mm-hmm. Well, good night. Sorry I'm taking so long out here. This was supposed to be a quick and easy project. Yeah. Yeah, it's not.
You're lucky thing here.
Daddy's about to have it come apart.
Yeah, your mommy's gonna beat you.
Is she?
Yeah.
She already did. Look, I'm bleeding. You got a unibrow going on. You know that?
Yeah. Mommy haircut.
Yeah, you need an eyebrow trim.
You need haircut too.
I know. Okay, anyway, had a couple visitors. So we got the tent laid on here. I sprayed the heck out of it. You can't really use too much of this soap, so kind of get it centered. And you guys can see these pre-cuts are pretty spot on. Typically, I've noticed they're usually a hair bigger than they need to be. I always start in the middle and kind of work my way out. And back glass windows on pickup trucks are about the easiest thing you can tint. I have tried tinting back glass on cars, and it never turns out good. I've tried using a heat gun, stretching the tint, making it work, because the back windows are usually kind of concave, and I can never get one to turn out right. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. I know this was about the easiest example I could show you on how to tint a window, but it's really not that bad. As long as you just have some patience and preferably a garage with no wind. Alrighty guys, we are ready to put some urethane on this thing and hopefully get it to stick to the truck. This is what I'm using. This was a kit I bought off the old Amazon. I'll put the listing for it in the description. I don't know if it's good or bad. Don't know. It's got decent reviews. So the kit came with 2 tubes. I'm hoping that's going to be enough. I really don't know how thick to make this bead, but looking at how the old one was, I'm going to say it's probably going to need to be pretty thick. Oh man, what I'd pay to have an electric caulk gun right now. All right, now for the scary part. Let's just stick it to the back of the cab and hope it sticks. Well, this is going to be one of them times where I'm going to wish I had a buddy over to help me. All right, guys, here goes nothing. Ooh, ooh, easy, easy. Whoop, whoop. Come on, baby. Okay, okay. That's not looking too bad. Put a little pressure on it. I think that back window's looking pretty good, guys. Well, it is a couple days after we did the back window repair. Took it on its maiden voyage yesterday. It seems to be pretty airtight, so I guess time will tell. So now let's go ahead and move on to getting these front windows tinted. And like I'd mentioned there in the beginning of the video, there's a few other repairs I want to do while we have this apart. It's just so much easier to tint side windows when the panel's not in the way. Otherwise, you got to tuck the tint in between this weather stripping and the window. It's possible. It's just a pain in the butt. So I'm going to go ahead and get both of these door panels ripped off, and we'll go from there. Pulling door panels is probably one of my least favorite things to do in the automotive world. It's like no matter how easy you try to be, you still run the risk of breaking something. There we go. Okay. I can show you guys up close. All 3 of these have got a latch on top and a latch on bottom. Oh, GM. You make it very hard to like you. Now, I actually went through not that long ago and replaced some of these broken Christmas trees. Hindsight being 2020, I kind of wish I would have waited, because now it's going to be even trickier to get this off. I probably should have rolled that window all the way down too to give us a little bit more room. Come on. Oh, there it is. Yeah, looks like I only broke a few of them. I went ahead and got the other side pulled apart. Didn't want to torture you guys with making me watch me do that. I did go through and pull the switches out of these door card parts here, so now I'm able to roll the windows up and down. Obviously, you're going to need to be able to do that to tint the windows, so I'm going to go and roll this one up about there. I'm going to go through and clean this really good, and we'll go over and clean the other side too. Usually the most important parts you want to clean is this very top edge, because I mean, who cleans their windows with the windows partially down? So this top hardly ever gets clean, and when we get that, the very bottom is where most of the dirt and grime sits, and if you don't get that really clean, that tint won't stick, and over time it'll start working its way up from the bottom, and you'll start getting fingers coming up. So what I'm saying is just clean it really good. And if you got a lot of buildup on it, feel free to take a razor blade to it. Surprisingly, these really aren't that bad. See right there, I've actually got a little bit of a buildup. I'm gonna take the old razor blade to that. I don't know what that was. Something funky on there. If you guys have got a really nice vehicle and you're tinting it, I do recommend getting a towel or something and draping across the door. Because all this water I'm scraping down is going to go one place, and that's to the bottom of the door panel. But something to keep in mind, professionals, that's what they do. They try to keep all this water and stuff from getting stuck in your door. Okay, just like we did with the back glass, just kind of go through and get it a little damp, knock some of that static electricity down. And we'll find the starting edge here. Get it started. This is where them pre-cuts are really fantastic to use. If you don't do pre-cuts, if you guys have ever done it or not, you literally have to cut out the shape of the window. And I've done it several times, and every time I do it, I swear I'll never do it again because I can never get it right. So if you're watching this video and you're a professional window tint guy, kudos to you, because I don't know how you guys do it. Every time I tint the old school way, I appreciate the cheap rates they charge to do this kind of stuff, because in my opinion, they don't charge enough. So the goal here is to position it in a way that you can carry it like so. So you guys can see what I'm talking about now. If I didn't pull that door card off, you could see how this would be kind of tricky to get this worked down underneath that weather stripping. But since I took it off, now I could go through and center it. Now, I know I've mentioned it before, these pre-cuts aren't perfect, and I'll show you why here in a second. But the majority of the work's done. You can see up here at the top, I've got a nice, not quite a 1/4 inch gap. But as the window bows around, you can see we've got no gap. So I'm gonna have to trim this over here, or I can try to twist it, but then my edge over here ain't gonna be perfect. So if you guys go to do this, just take your time with it. Remember, this stuff is not glued on until it's sat for a while dry, so you have a chance to pull it back off if you need to. Just like the back glass, kind of work it in sections. If you're chasing out a big air pocket, just go slow with it, because even though you spray this stuff really good, it will stick to itself immediately if you get it dry. Well, all in all, guys, it ain't looking too bad. Down here on the bottom, I do have a couple fingers that are starting to work their way up, and that stuff's going to happen. Anytime you've got an edge like that, just be prepared if it happens. It's not the end of the world. As this kind of sits and cures, the changes you make are more permanent. So worst case, I'll come back later with a squeegee, maybe even a heat gun, and try to shrink them fingers out. But for now, I'm calling this one a success. So I'm going to go ahead and knock the other side out, and I'll bring you guys back when we're ready for our next little project. Well, I got this side slapped on here, same as the other side. It turned out pretty good. You can see down here at the bottom, there are a couple fingers that are trying to work their way up. No big deal. Now, if I had everything I needed, I'd be showing you guys right now how to put your own brow on. But I went to the old Walmart, and they are out of stock of 5% window tint rolls. Kind of funny, this time of the year's tax time. Everybody's out buying stuff they normally wouldn't. So, but we'll get to that eventually. I'm sure it'll come in stock, and we'll take care of that. So, while we got this panel off, there are a couple of repairs I want to check out. At some point about 2 months ago, this interior door handle quit working. The outside still works fine. It's just this inside one just up and decided to quit doing door handle stuff. So I have poked around in here a little bit, and I see what the issue is. I would try to show you guys, but I can't get the camera in there. But I can't get the camera down in there to really show you. So I've got one of these ordered. I should have ordered one, but I was really hoping it was just going to be something simple. And it is, but I don't have the parts to fix it. And the only parts I can get to fix it only come with a new door handle. So I'm going to go ahead and get this removed and get this pulled back so I can at least show you guys what the issue is. The second issue is this door lock is about impossible to move. and it's like it's not giving full travel to the actuator over here. So I don't know if it's an actuator issue or if it's just a lot of slop in this. So either way, I'm gonna pull this off so I can show you a little bit better on what I think the issue is. Anyway, we've got some, I believe, 1/4 inch pop rivets on the perimeter of this door handle. I'm gonna go ahead and get those drilled out, and we should be able to pull this back enough that I can unhook them rods or show you what I think the issue is. It should pop loose. All right, so first off, this one here is the actual for the door handle. The rod for it, you guys aren't gonna be able to see it, but the rod for it's down in here. Well, the way they design these, they put a little safety latch. I wouldn't call it a safety latch. They put a latch that folds out of the way that holds the rod in place. This one either fell off, vibrated loose, or eventually broke because it's nowhere to be found. So if I put the rod back on there, pull the handle a few times, it pops back off. So that's the issue there. Now on the door lock itself, yeah, I think what we have there is just a matter of a lot of slop. You guys can see this popping up, moving right here. It doesn't seem like a whole lot, but that's enough to throw the whole linkage off to where you just don't have enough throw to do what you want to do. So we're going to go ahead and pop this all the way off. All right, here's the back side of that handle. Kind of show you guys what's going on here. There's the lever for the door handle. Our rod goes in there, and I actually dug this one out of the door. This is the one that flew off the other lock rod, but essentially all this does is slide on when you put your rod in, and it locks it in place. The one on this one must have broke or rusted in half or something because it's gone. This here is for the door lock itself, and I'm hoping that the issue there is just all this play we got going on, because this one did have a lock tab on it. If not, it's that actuator itself might be bound up. So I'll lubricate it up real good, get that stuff working, and as soon as we get the new one in, I will get this one changed. Well, since we're kind of at a standstill waiting on some parts to come in to finish the doors up, we can go ahead and move on to something else while the panels are off. And this is an upgrade I've been wanting to do since the day I brought this truck home. I don't know why I've waited this long to do it, but let me show you. If you look at the mirrors here, see this one's kind of nice and flat and square. That one, not so much. I don't necessarily mind this style of mirror on these trucks. I know everything's kind of got its own place. To me, it makes the trucks look a little bit older than what they are, but this one is just junk. I can barely see out of it. This one's aiming up and sideways, showing me treetops. That one on that side aims down at the ground. They're so locked up, I can't twist them. So this is a long overdue upgrade. And for those with close eyes, you probably saw the Phillips head screws in the doors here. That means that this truck at one point had the old lattice style mirrors sticking off the side of it. I don't necessarily mind the look of those either. I think they have their place. And since I'm trying to update this truck and make it look a little bit more respectable, I'll show you what mirrors I decided to go with. These are what you'd call the later model mirrors. I don't know what year they started using these. I want to say 95 because that's when they went to the new interior. But they're just plain Jane manual folding style mirror. I really like the look of this mirror, and it's really going to make this truck look 5 years newer than what it is. And more importantly, I'll be able to actually move this around so I can see what I'm doing when I'm pulling my trailer. This is by far one of the easiest and cheapest upgrades you can do to your old truck. I think 95, when they changed the interior, they made it even easier to where you don't have to pull the entire door panel. You can just pop this corner off. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but you know, it should have, what, three 10 millimeter nuts in there. Come on. And before I forget, let's go ahead and get this vent visor the rest of the way off. There we go. I absolutely love when new parts come with all the hardware needed to install. This also comes with a new piece of foam. Pretty much everything you need. So I'm going to do the old one-handed juggle here. Almost forgot to put my foam back in. Good as new. Let's get the other side tossed on. Be gone. Oh yeah, guys, that's looking a whole lot better. It's a shame the truck's so dirty because now they're just really standing out because they're so shiny. But yeah, now we can move on to something else fun. Okay, next on the list is another cheap upgrade you can do to really improve the looks of your vehicle. In this box here, I have got a set of brand new taillights. These, again, I ordered off eBay. I spent the extra like $5 or $10 and got the ones that come with the bar already installed. If you guys have one of these GMT 400s, this bar right here, it's essentially a circuit board. They're notorious for causing issues with the lights not working. Corrosion and stuff builds up. You can buy just these bars to replace them, but by the time you do that, you might as well spend a little bit more and get a whole tail light. So let's go ahead and get these thrown on the truck. Well, sorry guys, I forgot to hit record, so you missed me taking the old tail light out, but it was just a couple different Phillips head screws holding it in. So I got that out, got the tail light out. Now, a couple things I want to complain about real quick. If you remember when I put the mirrors on a minute ago, I said, man, it is awesome whenever a manufacturer includes the hardware to put a new part on. Well, whoever makes the mirrors does not make the taillights because they did not include any new hardware. Not a big deal. I got the old stuff to use, right? Wrong. Whenever they built these, they put different size nut certs or quick nuts on here, so I had nothing to use. I spent the last 15 minutes going through my stash of miscellaneous random nuts and bolts. I managed to get an M6 to thread into one of these, so I'm hoping that that's what they all are. I don't really know. Now, unfortunately, this might actually be an M8. But unfortunately, the ones I had were too long, so then I had to go through and cut all these down, put them on the grinder, clean the threads up on it, so now we're ready to install it. But it doesn't end there. First tail light was in really good shape. I go to pull the second one out of the box, and I see this laying in the bottom. So, man, I hope that's just left over from something else. But it's not. Now, I know this isn't exactly the manufacturer's fault. The packaging was in really good shape. Most of these take a pretty wild ride to get here to the States from whatever factory in China makes them. So stuff like this is going to happen. Unfortunately, I'm on a time crunch like always, so I am not going to do anything about it right now. I've got some super glue. I'll put a couple dabs on there, and that is that. I'd be more willing to overlook the whole debacle about using different size hardware and not including the right size. But whenever I pull out a brand new part and I see it's broken, it makes it harder to look past the fact that the hardware is not right. Hey, look at that, they're working. Well, since we're on the topic of lighting, I figured we better do something about the lights on the front of the truck as well. I will say all these are working just like they should, but as you can tell, they're kind of yellowed and crappy looking. Now, I could spend about $15-20 and about an hour of my time and use one of them restoration kits, sand them down, and get them looking halfway decent. But for not much more money than that, you can just completely replace them with new. And that's what we got here. This is a set that I bought off eBay, but it's pretty much the run-of-the-mill, what you're going to find aftermarket headlight assembly set. This 8-piece set comes with headlights, turn signal assemblies, both reflectors, and both marker lights. This is by far one of the cheapest and easiest ways that you can make your old beat-up vehicle look like new again. Now let me preface by saying I have owned several of these GMT 400s. Off the top of my head, I'd like to say I've owned probably close to 10 of them. Now I know that doesn't make me an expert, but I would like to think that I'm somewhat educated when it comes to these trucks. But out of those 10, 12, whatever it's been, this is my first one I've had that's actually a pre-95. So going into this, whenever I ordered this headlight kit, I just assumed, hey, 88 to 98, as long as it's got the composite headlights, the kit's the same, because they also offered a 4x6 sealed beam grill on these trucks. So when I ordered the kit, everything showed up. Well, when I pulled everything out, I got to looking. It's like, man, these corner reflectors, they look different than what's in here. As you guys can see on the camera there, these are considerably larger. And like I tell you guys all the time, I learn something new every day. And it was at that point that I learned that if you have the skinnier, shallow grill on your 88 to 98 Chevy with composite headlights, the corner reflectors and the marker lights are different than what they started using in 95. Yeah, I think to start with, we'll go ahead and get these turn signal housings out and out of the way. Well, those out of the way, it's revealed the lower mounting bolts. How about now? There we go. Oh, look at that. There's that missing grill support. We could probably glue that back in there and be good as new. Now we go and get these housings out. Bracket and all. I think there's 4 bolts holding them on. Something I did notice on these, typically when you order a new set like this, they usually come with headlights. So whoever's designing these in China must have changed their mind and quit putting headlight bulbs in them. Now I could reuse the old ones, but I have accumulated quite the stash of brand new headlights from doing exactly this. Like I said, when they come with new ones, I always take the good lights out of them and reuse them or hang on to them for something else. If you guys look at the tips here, the frosted tip, that's always your low beam, and the one without it is always your high beam. And on the Chevrolets, the high beam is always on the center of the light. Typically, the most frustrating thing I ever find about putting these headlight assemblies together is trying to get the headlight bulbs to fit under these rings. Don't be surprised if you guys go to do this, if you have to fiddle with the these trim rings, loosen these little Phillips head screws up to get them to fit right. But so far, these don't seem that bad. Yeah, I think the issue we got here, see this little tang sticking out? That's designed to ride right here against this header panel. And it's like they just formed it in the wrong spot. It needs to be about 1/4 inch that way. If you look at the old one, it doesn't even have that, so I'm probably just going to go ahead and cut that off. It may not even supposed to be on there. It might be an issue with the manufacturing, but I'm going to cut that off there. All right, now let's try it. All right. Well, I managed to finagle this broken piece of grill back in where it goes. It don't look too bad. I'm just going to go ahead and take some run-of-the-mill super glue here, put a few drops on it, and I don't know. If it holds, it holds. If it doesn't, can't say I didn't try. Super glue usually works pretty good on plastic. Okay, that's better. Next thing I want to address is these corner reflectors and this corner marker light. Like I'd mentioned before, the new ones I got will not work in this grill. So I'm going to show you a little trick you can do to bring these back to life. Normally I'd try to take these out of the grill, but Chevrolet used, they're like one-time use nuts. They look like a regular hex nut with a flange on it, but it's just got one thread on it, and it actually cuts the plastic. It actually cuts its own threads as you put it on, and typically what happens when you go to take them off, it snaps this stud off. So I'm not going to be doing that. So I'm going to do this little trick with it still on the grill. Alright, once you get it taped off, you really need about 2 things to do this. Get you some real fine grit sandpaper. This is 600 grit here. and some clear coat. And literally all we're going to do is just rough this up, sand off some of that oxidation, and hit it with clear coat, and it'll bring these right back to life. Well, once you get them good and dry, you go ahead and put your clear coat on. This is just Rust-Oleum crystal clear enamel. And there you go. Look at that, brand new reflectors. Well, I guess we go ahead and put this grill back in, or try to. I was going to test these lights and make sure they were all working, but whenever you take the door panel out, there's nothing to hit the door jamb switch, and so my dome light was on all night last night, and it ran my battery dead. So I got the old jump pack on it, trying to charge it back up. Let's see if I can get this back in here without breaking it. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna put all the bolts back in it and we'll move on to the next thing. Well, I got my jump pack hooked up so I could test these real quick. It looks like they're actually all working, but this corner light right here. Usually what happens, these little sockets, the little tangs inside of them, get kind of wore out, so you can kind of go through and with a pick and bend them back in to tighten that connection up a little bit. There we go. Cool. Now we can throw the turn signals back in. Trying to get these darn things to line up right. It's a pain in the butt. You know, honestly, guys, I'm thinking this might be an interference issue. I'm going to get a file and I'm going to waller these out a little bit. I'm guessing whenever they did the old chrome plating, it made the fit a little too tight. There it is. There we go. Had to save the best part for you guys. And those look so much better. Now at some point before I actually drive this thing, I am going to have to go through and actually aim these headlights. They usually do a pretty good job from the factory, but it's always a good idea to check it. Last thing you want to do is go out and drive this thing and then blind somebody at night and cause an accident. So, and just like that, we have got our new door handle to install. As you can see, this one comes with those little clips that I was missing. You can see there's actually a whole lot less slop in this linkage now. And after looking at this rod was supposed to have one of them clips on it as well, and it did not. So hopefully this is going to fix our door lock issue too. Okay, now I think I got it. Man, that was a pain in the butt, guys. I bet that took 10 minutes. So now we go ahead and put our pop rivets in. These are 3/16. Oh yeah. All right, let's throw this door panel back on and be done. Well, just like every other old door panel, whenever you pull it off, you're gonna break about every Christmas tree fitting there is. So I've actually already got a bag of these. I bought these for a previous truck. These are the Christmas tree, the door clips. I got these off Amazon. I'll put the link for these in the description in case you guys need to get some. But they seem to be lasting pretty good the way these are designed. You put them in and twist them 45 degrees and that locks them into the door panel pocket. All right, I'm gonna call that good enough. Well, as you guys can see, the truck is no longer in the garage. I've got it parked outside, waiting for its new buyer to come pick it up. Now I know there's kind of going to be a gap in the timeline from the last clip till now, and let me just kind of explain what happened. So like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I had a lot of plans on more stuff I was going to do to the truck. We did get a lot done to it, kind of shine it up a little bit, but I still had some more stuff I wanted to do. I was about to pull the trigger on some new wheels for it. I was going to do a 2-inch lowering kit on it and a couple other small things. Now I bought that truck of May of last year, May of 24. So I haven't even quite had it a year yet. And whenever I bought it, I had plans on keeping it for a long time. Well, if you guys are like me, that doesn't always mean anything. Over the last couple months, I've kind of been itching to get back into a diesel. And well, yesterday just happened to be the day I opened up Marketplace and I found what I was looking for. Now, I would have loved to have kept the Chevy and this new truck, but it just doesn't make sense. I mean, I barely drove the Chevy the way it is. This other truck I got, I'm barely going to drive it. It just doesn't make sense to keep both. So unfortunately, the old Chevy there is going bye-bye. I'm kind of bittersweet about it. It was one of the first projects I ever had on the channel. You guys saw me put quite a bit of work into it, swapping the transmission. But I've had my fun with it. I get bored a lot. But yeah, the new owner's on his way. He's pretty excited to wind up about it. I got the truck cleaned up pretty good for him. I kind of went over some stuff with him, told him the issues I know about it. I told him the good stuff and the bad stuff. I threw it up on the old Marketplace for $2,500, and within 15 minutes, this guy reached out to me wanting it. But hey, I had fun with it, and evidently you guys like watching me work on it, so I think I've gotten my use out of it, and so we're going to ship it down the road, and we're going to change our focus to the new shop truck. Well, what do you think, guys? I am very excited for this thing. So I will be doing a whole video on this truck. There's a lot of little things I want to fix on it, a lot of upgrades I want to do to it, but I'll just give you some quick details. It's a 2001. It does have the 24 valve 5.9 Cummins in it, but the reason I got this one is because it's got the 5-speed manual. And you guys should know by now that I enjoy manual transmissions. Now, unfortunately, since I'm not a wealthy man, I could never afford a 5-speed 4-wheel drive, so this truck here is only a 2-wheel drive. But as you guys notice, a 2-wheel drive is all I usually ever need anyway. But this truck's far from perfect, and that's okay. Usually when they're not perfect, it means I can afford them. So yeah, guys, I know the Chevy video wasn't as thorough as I was hoping it was going to be. I was hoping to do a lot more work to it than I did, but it just didn't make sense for me to keep dumping money into it whenever I knew I was going to sell it. So hope you guys did enjoy the little bit of work I did do to it. Make sure you stay tuned for updates on this truck. So as always, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch my videos, and I'll see you in the next one.